Thank you, everyone, for joining this morning to the celebration of the Open Data Day this year, 2024. My name is Hector Dominguez, and I work for the City of Portland, coordinating open data privacy surveillance technologies. And it is my pleasure to introduce you to Ethan Sharygin, who is the director of the Population Research Center at Portland State University. Ethan has been providing all and sharing all his expertise, talents, and research group, really putting that available to the city of Portland and doing these demographics and socioeconomic analysis of how Portland neighborhoods have been evolving, who we are. So it's generating really important data about who we are as a city. I'm very excited about this presentation and conversation. And Ethan, so the floor is yours.
Thank you, Hector. Well, it's really my pleasure to be here. I joined last year to talk about what was then a really new, exciting effort where City of Portland Office of Civic Life had asked us to do something which had never been done before, which was to take data from the US Census Bureau and to assemble it for the neighborhoods in Portland, for all of the neighborhoods. And previously, that had only been done with actual just population counts from the census at the block level. But what we were doing was taking socioeconomic data from the American Community Survey, which is at the tract level, and getting that in to work with neighborhoods. So we developed a methodology to make that allocation, and we presented that initially last year. Over the course of the past year, we've done a couple things to innovate in that area. First, we've expanded the data fields that were available. Second, we have refined the methodology for how we convert census tracts to neighborhoods. And then the third thing is that we have put up, in addition to the PDFs that we did last year with profiles, at that time a one-page profile for each neighborhood, we have stood up an interactive website that just shows an example of how these data could be put together and viewed. Hector's been a key part of making this data available. So he has copies of the spreadsheet and the data sets that went into this. And so ultimately, the goal is that this data will be available for anyone to develop visualizations on. And I'm sure some really interesting insights can come out of browsing that data that are things that we haven't even thought of or looked at yet. Oh, the other thing that we did as well this year that's new was to produce some data sets that describe the new recently approved districts, 1, 2, 3, and 4 for the city, the city council districts. So in addition to data about each of the neighborhoods and the neighborhood coalitions, you'll find data for the city of Portland overall, as well as the city districts, city council districts. So let me walk through, I guess, how you can get access to these data first. And to do that, I will share the screen. So the first thing we did was to post data on our website, where you'll find this at pdx.edu/PRC. And there will be a drop-down menu for the state data center, and you'll see their neighborhood profiles. So they still say Portland 2020 because they refer to the 2020 census, which still is kind of the bedrock data set for the profiles we put together. And you'll find a couple different links here. So the first thing you'll find is a link to the Office of Civic Life's website, where you can find the page that they've stood up, which has much more information about the project and kind of FAQ. You can also find a report that contains profiles for all the areas, as well as a summary here. So it's a technical report which has a little bit of information on the methodology, some summary information about how we converted data from tracts into neighborhoods. And then it has copies of the the paper profiles for both the City of Portland, the City Council districts, and then for each one of the neighborhoods in alphabetical order. And so what we've got here is kind of, we took some of the feedback we got on the one-page version of the pages, and we've decided to make those 2 pages instead, so they weren't as cramped, and the font sizes are a little bit better if you decide to print these and look at them. So it's 2-sided, so the first page has information from the 2020 census, and then the second page has information which here under this heading, socioeconomic indicators, which are the ones from the American Community Survey. So it's a survey that's representative of the entire US population. It reaches somewhere between 1% and 2% of households every year. Some of you may have received this one. It's run by the Census Bureau and collects, just a whole wealth of socioeconomic data. And in addition to that, we have a couple other data sources for things like the census self-response rate, as well as voter turnout, that we put together from third-party sources. And I think food security here is another one, social vulnerability, and life expectancy at birth. And we also included this year share of area covered by tree canopy, of course, an important thing for urban heat. And we've also, if you're curious about more about where those data came from, how to interpret these indicators, we've got this notes and definition section. And we're also happy to respond to inquiries either directed to us or through the Office of Civic Life. Those always work their way to us too. So really interesting things you can do with this data set, one of which is to produce a paper profile like this. But the second one is to view this website, which we've set up, which gives you the opportunity to select a variable of interest and see how that's spread out across neighborhoods. So, the first graph you'll see here is the total population by neighborhood. And that will, if we click on one neighborhood, we can kind of see the graph here on the right. We'll compare the neighborhood we've chosen to the average across all neighborhoods, and also show you kind of where it lies on this distribution of size of neighborhoods. So if we're interested in what's the total population of all the neighborhoods, not just the one we've clicked on, which happens to be Coley, we can see right here the selected indicator for all areas. And that gives us the value, which is the total populations, the variable we've chosen for all of them. And if we click on this, we can sort low to high or high to low, or we can sort alphabetical order. And there's just, if you want to use this data for some other kind of project you're working on, you can easily get it out of here by clicking the download button, and you see you'll get a CSV file that contains the data that you're interested in. The other thing you can do with this is to say, like we had in those PDF profiles, I want to get all the data about one neighborhood. So we can, whatever neighborhood we happen to choose, we can click on this area, all indicators for selected area. And that will give us kind of the opposite of, or the inverse of what we got with the selected indicator for all areas. That'll give us every variable that we've put together, every data point we've put together about the neighborhood. And again, you can download those. There's download button slightly obscured here. Yeah, right here, download button. The file will have the same name, so you have to remember what you downloaded in which order. And yeah, so this is something we built off of this data set, just as an example of something that could be put together. But we're really excited to have it out on the Portland Maps Open Data Portal, so to see how other folks decide to end up using it. So one of the things I mentioned was that the methodology that we use to allocate or to translate tracts into neighborhoods has changed a little bit from last year. And I think that gets into the question, of where did these data come from? Obviously, the Census Bureau doesn't publish data by neighborhoods. So are these authoritative? How can we have faith in the numbers that we have? And I think there, I'll kind of mention two different things, two different types of data that go into the neighborhood profiles. And so for data that comes from the decennial census, which is the core demographic data, population by race, ethnicity, and total population and population by age, those are collected at the level of the census block. And census blocks do nest within neighborhoods. So we can be highly confident in the calculations. Of course, they're tied to the 2020 census, and we can't update them until we have a census again in 2030. And the second category, those socioeconomic indicators, are from tracts. Now, there's two different sources of uncertainty that can come into the data that we've provided for neighborhoods. And we've provided a bit of an indication on the confidence that you can have in the data with two little data points here that you'll see. One of which is called RSE, which is the relative standard error. And the second of which is maybe easier to interpret reliability measure. And so you can see here, this is where we take the relative standard error and convert that into just a color-coded system for how confident can we be in the number that we've generated, because there is statistical uncertainty. The ACS is a sample, it's not 100% count like the census is. And so when you see that, it's kind of something to maybe be, to pause and consider before making conclusions about, especially if you see a red or an orange. Green, we can be fairly confident in that we're going to, if we base a decision, policy, or have a discussion around an indicator, we can be fairly confident in the data quality for that one. So that'll be different for every neighborhood and for different indicators. Sometimes, when we have very small population counts, such as this one, where it's 0.02 or 2%, just the noise to signal ratio is pretty high, and that's why we have a low reliability for that particular measure. Not to say that it's inaccurate, but just that we have to be less confident that that's the exact number. It could be within half of that or twice that or something like that. So for those of you who are curious and digging more into that, on why the uncertainty, I encourage you to take a look at this PDF. This PDF is the only place where we've got these technical notes published right now. We've also got, I should point out this a little bit here, when you first come to this page, a user guide. And so you'll see a little bit of information here that recaps some of the points that I made about how to use the tool and how to interpret it. But for really digging into the methodology that we've used, you can find that here on our website under the report with all profiles. And in the meantime, while we're working on integration into the open data portal, you can download the dataset that's powering the visualization website and the map that we built. You can find that right here as a downloadable Excel file. So really excited to be offering these new tools. We do have a couple more things coming down the pipeline planned for this, and one of which is the ability to build an index around one or more variables of interest. So, if we're talking about comparing neighborhoods on the basis of one element, like median age, that's pretty easy to do right now. We can get median age for all the areas. But what if we wanted to know, if we were interested in both, let's say, limited English proficient population and population and poverty, kind of a multi-dimensional index that we could use to compare how neighborhoods rank on two different measures. That's a function that we are hoping to have added by this summer, so that you can produce your own index, multi-dimensional index for comparison, and be able to download those also for all neighborhoods. So that's a lot of info there, and I'm happy to answer some questions or to dig a little deeper into any one of the features here or data fields here. Yeah, thanks